I want to talk to you about a book that I read about 25 years ago, and I still remember some of the things I learned in it. One of them was how you can tell if a skull is male or female. It's really quick, and I will show you near the end of this. The book today is called Death's Acre, and it was written by Bill Bass. I actually remember where I bought this book. It was in a place called Overport City in Durban, and it was a weird thing. At the place where I bought this, you actually bought it by weight. So what you do, you'd go into the shop, collect a whole lot of books that you liked, and then they would weigh them, and then you would pay for them afterwards. This was, I mean, quite a bizarre thing. I got quite a few books quite cheaply, some really good books. And apart from this one, was also the other one was Whoever Fights the Monsters by Robert Ressler. So that's where I managed to pick up this book. So both of those books introduced me to the world of criminal profiling and forensic investigation. Now, the author Bill Bass was a forensic anthropologist, which meant he studied human bones to help solve crimes. If you've ever watched shows like CSI, Crime Scene Investigation, a lot of what you see there comes from people like Bill Bass, who've been doing this work for a number of years. When he started working in forensic science, it was still quite basic, and police could sometimes work out roughly when someone had died, but it was often just a guess. And that matters because if you don't know when someone's died, it becomes much harder to work out who might have done it. So Bass focused on one simple question. In his work, he wanted to move away from theory and look at what really happens. And the question is, what really happens to the human body after something dies? How long does it take to decompose, and what affects it? Temperature, insects, soil, sunlight, all these things play a role. At the time, nobody had really studied this properly, and that led to the creation of a research site at the University of Tennessee. Officially, the name is the University of Tennessee Anthropological Research Facility, but widely and known much better by a lot of other people as the Body Farm. And I know this sounds like a really odd name, but it's exactly what it suggests. It's a place where decomposition could be studied in real conditions. So bodies have been donated to science, and they were placed in different environments, buried, left on the surface, in the sun, in the shade, all carefully observed and recorded. And over time, this has built a clear understanding of how the body changes after death. In the book, Bass also talks about working with Patricia Cornwell, the author, while she was researching her novels. And a few years after I read this book, I met her at a book event and asked what it was like working with him. She mentioned something he used to say that stayed with her: never underestimate the power of a magnet. And I know that sounds really strange, but what he meant was quite simple: that maggots grow quickly and predictably, and by studying them, investigators can estimate how long a body has been there. It's a small detail, but incredibly important. What I like about Death's Acre is that it doesn't feel like a textbook. It's based on real work and real experience. In his book, Bass wasn't just studying decomposition. He was helping turn forensic investigation into something more scientific. Before this kind of research, investigators relied heavily on instinct and rough estimates. After it, they had data, patterns, and evidence they could trust. That shift made investigations more accurate, and in some cases, it meant the difference between solving a crime and leaving it unsolved. Bill Bass's work didn't stay in one place, it spread. Other facilities were created, and other researchers built on what he'd started. Today, this kind of science is used all over the world. I find this book really fascinating, and some people can think it's quite grisly, but I just think it was amazing. Another thing that stands out in this book is the role of insects. Different insects arrive at different stages, some within hours, others within days, and those patterns help investigators estimate the time of death, looking at those life cycles. Bass explains this is a very calm, straightforward way. He's not trying to shock you, he's simply explaining what the science shows. He also shows a great deal of respect for the people who have donated their bodies to science. Without them, none of the research would have been possible. That gives the book a real sense of purpose. Looking back now, I realize just how much this book has opened my eyes. It showed me the science behind investigations, the work that happens long after the headlines disappear. I mean, it's not dramatic, but it's incredibly important. If you're interested in forensic science or criminal investigation, this is definitely a book worth reading. I mentioned earlier a quick way of identifying whether a skull is male or female. One of the clearest clues is just doing this, just having a feel here. With men, you have a heavier skull and a more pronounced ridge, and with women, it's just smooth. So if you have a ridge, you're a man, and if it's smooth, you know it's a woman. So I just find that really fascinating. So that's exactly the sort of detail you come across in Death's Acre, and there's a lot more other fun facts throughout the book. I mean, he writes it really well. Lots of stories, so you not feel like you're being taught anything, but all the stories you're learning along the way. So that's it for this week. I'm John Mason, and you've been watching The War Room Library. Next week, we'll look at a real war book for a change. It's called Secret Armies by James Adams, and that'll be more about special forces.